All right, folks, please start to quiet down. I'm going to get less nice every single time that I have to make an announcement. All right. Thank you. Wow, that worked. I love when that works. Hi, everybody. We're back with less leaks, which is great. For today, and it's ironic because my parents are the one that are still talking. Brad and Sherry. Thank you. It's the best when I get to call out my parents, not the other way around. Okay, so really, really excited for this next section. And I'm sorry I'm getting in some photos, Mark, of course. What we're going to be getting into now is our panel section. We have a lot of really amazing panels, which we're trying to stop the leak as we speak, so sorry for the noise. We worked really, really hard to prepare these, and so I'm really, really happy that you guys are going to be able to be a part of it. This next session is something that we've actually never done before, and it's really kind of behind a lot of the people that are on my committee. And so they came up with this idea and, of course, came to me and said that they wanted to give it a shot. And, as they all do, and I see Jesse saying disagree. I like it. He's practicing. So we're going to be doing this a little bit differently. So Gabriella is going to explain it, but one thing I want to make sure that you guys are aware of before, has everybody gotten their T-shirts yet? All right. Some people have the T-shirts. So if you haven't, they are the comfiest shirts of all time. My fiance currently has all of mine. Mark says agree. Please be sure to grab them. They are in the back right when you get off the elevator. And if you need a bag as well that has water, which I know will be helpful for everybody after tonight for tomorrow morning, in addition to all the snacks that you need. I know I personally didn't eat a thing last night and was eating the snacks for my dinner. So it is very helpful for everybody to have that. So those are going to be in the back. Ask Haley, who is outside, if you guys need that. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to hand it off to Gabriella. You are in capable hands, folks.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. We're excited to be the first panel. Sorry, I'm not used to using a microphone. It's just my natural voice. So today we're going to do something very different. We're really excited. We want it to be very engaging. So what we're going to do is we're talking about 2024 marketing hot takes. So the entire style that we're going to do this in is we're going to say the topic. All the panelists here are going to say their hot take. And we want audience participation, so you let us know if you agree or disagree. And then what we'll do is we'll kind of dive into maybe if a lot of the room's pulling one way or another, we could dive into a little bit more. But like I said, we really just wanted to keep this engaging and just not talk at you in the traditional sense. So we'll do some quick intros and then we'll go into our topic. So I'm Gabriella Ferrara. I'm our VP of Sales for Scorpion. And I've been in franchising for 6 years, and I'm on the YoungCon committee. So thank you.
I'm Madeline Zook. I'm the CMO of a home service franchisor. We've got 9 brands. My husband and I also are franchisees of 4 different home service concepts. We've got upwards of about 50 locations in the Philadelphia area, and I'm also the CEO and founder of 2 different supplier companies in both the business consulting side and the executive recruiting side, and I've been in franchising for, I can't do math, so let's say 12 years.
My name is Brooke Budke. I am founder and CEO of Momentum Brands, and we are fractional chief marketing officer support for emerging brands. I've been in the business for 11 years and also on the committee with these ladies.
Awesome. I'm Heather McLeod. I am the chief growth officer at Authority Brands. We're a home service platform company, 16 brands, 2,000-ish locations. And before that, I was with Neighborly. I've been in franchising for about 15 years. I feel like there should be an asterisk that says at a certain point, does that mean we get uninvited from Young Conference? I don't know. But we're all still squeaking in, I think, just a little bit. So thanks for having us.
Awesome. And if you didn't get the memo, we are all wearing pantsuits on purpose. So yeah, we're all about that. Okay, so we're going to start with our first hot take for marketing. It's going to be around the topic for SEO, and I'm going to let Maddie take it away.
I'm not afraid to piss people off. I will fight you. I'm from Philly. Okay, so I will preface this by saying I think that we all, Ron Bender, stop it. I think that we all think of SEO differently. In where I see now, we've got about 600 franchisees, upwards of 1,600 locations. I've seen the gambit on the digital marketing supplier side, and I'm also a franchisee. My hot take is that we need to stop selling, oh, and I swear, so if you need to leave, I apologize. We need to stop selling SEO packages to franchisees. And here's what I mean by that. I believe that the franchisor should control the website, meaning the domain, all of the SEO meta tags, the content, and then also the microsites. Now, depending on your system and your industry, I understand that that can vary a little bit. That should be the franchisor. The franchisee locally, the only thing they really can do to control SEO is their reviews, their Google business page posting a bit, and running PPC or meta ads. And I know that's not organic, but in terms of commanding their local search authority, that's what they need to do. So agencies and franchisors need to stop selling this bullshit idea of, oh, you're gonna pay $4.99 a month for SEO. Why? Because it's hard to effing track. And then they come to me and they're like, it didn't work. How do you prove it? And I'm like, well, you've got 11 reviews and you spend $3 on PPC. What do you want from me? So I think that instead, I'm not saying we don't sell them or provide vendor partnerships with packages such as Consumer Fusion. Bryn and Mark, can you stand up? Absolutely, stand up. Fabulous. They've done our reviews. Disagree. They've done our reviews, Google Business, but they don't market it as SEO. They market it as reputation management. And then we've got our PPC vendors. And then that is more clarity for the franchisees. They understand what they're getting, what they're tracking, and instead, they're not coming to you going, well, my SEO isn't working, and that's why I'm not growing. Hot take. Agree or disagree?
So now put up your hands. Yeah, yellow.
Hell yeah, no one wants to fight me. All right, red in the back, red in the back. He definitely owns an SEO agency. Definitely owns an SEO agency.
He held the wrong side.
Yeah, he definitely held the wrong side. All right, well, that's my hot take. I just think that we need to be more clear in how we describe it and also much clearer about how we track it so that franchisees know what they're accountable for and what the franchisor is accountable for.
Awesome. Thank you, Maddie. We're not a shy group, so I'm really glad to have all of these women on this panel. So next I have Brooke, who's going to be talking specifically around grand openings.
So when it comes to grand opening for a franchise location, we often get the questions, how do we build an audience and how early do we do it and in what channels? And so there's definitely a lot of different ways you can build your community, especially as a franchisee and as the franchisor to teach the franchisee how to do it. My hot take is you do not need to invest thousands of dollars in digital ads. You need to learn your community, your target audience, and you need to get out of your brick and mortar or your van, or if it's a virtual concept, and get into the community and actually meet the people. Because during the pandemic, everyone came back into their homes, back into what's safe, back into isolation, and now all of the customers back in the spending power and going back out into the community, and the businesses have not followed. And so they are building a network, changing their habits. The female consumer has changed dramatically in the last 3 years. The 35-year-old female fit consumer is gone in the spending power. She's not getting waxes, blowouts, from fitness to anything else that she used to do, and her patterns have changed, and she's the primary spender in the household. And so you could do target marketing on digital, like I do think you should run digital ads, but I don't think it takes thousands of dollars. I think it takes a lot of sweat equity from a franchisee's point of view and the intelligence of the franchisor to teach them where to go, which is really where their audience is. So identify, excuse me, also your core target persona so you know where they go, where they spend their money, what they like, what they don't like, what interests them, and where their patterns are, and then go where they are. Hot take, don't spend thousands of dollars as a franchisee on digital ads, get into the community.
Agree or disagree? Agree or disagree? Okay, and then I'm going to challenge Brooke because I agree. But I think the goal in a lot of this is that we want our franchise owners to buy more of our brands, right? Or we want, there's the multi-brand, multi-unit, I think Unleashed calls them mumbos. Every time I have expanded into a brand, that franchisor, mind you, we have 2 different ones, so 3 of our brands are with one, they've said, all right, you need to give 100% of your time and be the mayor of the community for the second or the third or the fourth brand. And I'm like, bitch, that's 400% time. I don't have that. So as franchisors, it's your responsibility to include in the performa or your coaching to account for the time that they don't have. So if for what Brooke's saying is, okay, what about the second or the third brand where I don't have the time to go continuously do that for every single new brand, I need to hire someone for that, and that's gonna cost money. So agree or disagree that you guys should start building into the performa accounting for times that they don't have. Everyone's like, what are you talking about? All right, just something to think about because it's like having kids, right? You can't say 100% of your time needs to go to each one of your kids. It's not feasible, right? So how do we support them and grow them alongside each other's as both standalone and as a community?
Well, I think too, just in general, local store marketing, I think Scott said it, like the 7 different times you touch someone has to all be congruent. So your social media content to the digital ads you're running to the messaging and positioning you're using in the marketplace to the referral systems that you build to the loyalty to the retention of your clients, all of it has to be congruent and done simultaneously. So you do need to invest in digital marketing, absolutely, but you have to have the target audience identified and then also go where they are online, on social. Is it TikTok? Is it Facebook? Is it Instagram? Those are all very different strategies. Is it the reviews that you talked about? Like, where is your audience actually spending their time and getting influenced by is where I'm suggesting you should spend the time building out the strategies and tactics first, because digital ads will perform significantly better if you also are in the marketplace and have the reviews and great social content.
Yeah, awesome. So next we have Heather, who's going to be talking specifically around marketing strategy and marketing support.
All right. So I will say this is definitely more applicable the larger that your business is. I know the question was asked earlier, but from where I was sitting, I couldn't see. How many people in here are with a platform brand? Anybody? Okay, a couple. So, of course, as your business gets larger and larger, this is more and more applicable. If you're an emerging brand and you're a team of 2, then this clearly doesn't apply. But my hot take is that you need to separate out the person responsible for marketing strategy and the people responsible for marketing support. Because what happens is that oftentimes someone's good at one or the yeah, thanks, Ben. Is that oftentimes people are really good at one versus the other. And then also sometimes, I mean, you guys all know when franchisees start calling and the phone's ringing and emails are blowing up that there's a problem, everything else stops to address that. And you have to have some resources on the team that are dedicated to really strategically moving the business forward. And you have to be able to hold people accountable to different KPIs. Your marketing person, when you get to be a business of size, you can't have everybody responsible for everything. You have to have people with certain dedicated things that they're accountable to. So my hot take, strategy and support, separate them, 2 different people.
You guys are a very agreeable group. I really do think everyone's just really afraid of Maddie.
Story of my life.
So next we have actually Maddie talking about Fran Dev marketing, which is definitely a hot topic.
I'm about to piss some people off. All right, raise your hand if you sell multiple units at once. Raise your hand if you sell an absentee model. Raise your hand if you sell a semi-absentee model. Get the fuck out. Just kidding. Okay, here now, caveat. I understand the essence of semi-absentee. Christ's sakes, the platform brand that I'm at sells it. Shout out Danielle Wright. We can talk. Here's the issue with it. Have you ever seen a mom and pop shop say, I'm going to open a business and I'm not going to run it? Not I'm going to have the kids run it, it's going to be a family. I'm going to have someone else run it. I'm not really going to pay attention. I'm going to keep my day job, but I'm going to open a mom and pop shop, and it's going to be successful without me. Literally no. So unless, my hot take is that semi-absentee ownership in franchising is absolute bullshit, and you're setting yourself up for disaster. And now I will preface this by saying, I understand if you are a huge buying group, and Josh at Dunkin' is one of my biggest friends, and he sells these literal countries, right? I'm not talking about the franchisees or potential franchisees that have great business acumen. They've got staffs, and they're triple, quadruple, you name it, capitalized. Those ones, go for it. Because to be honest, if you are smart enough and you have enough money to support it, any business can be absentee or semi-absentee, right? The fact that we're selling franchises as, oh, this can be semi-absentee, you can keep your day job, you're going to start with a manager, you're going to get an SBA loan, meaning you're not really that qualified, capitalized to run it, and it'll be fine because you've got a manager in it. To me, that's selling territories. It's irresponsible, and I see it time and time again. And not only that, we're starting to sell semi-absentee multi-packs because, oh, you have the model, it's going to be successful, and then you can just go ahead and open up your second one. One of the franchises I own in pest control, which probably will close now that friggin' 5-Star over there had this great commercial, it took us 8 years before we got to be semi-absentee, and we're pretty capitalized, but there's a piece of you that always has to be in the business, that has to be managing your managers, and you have to build into the pro forma, in your budget, being able to afford that manager. And what happens if that manager quits? And the training that it takes, and to Brooke's part, you have to be in the community. You are a small business owner, and you're saying, basically, I'm opening up a mom and pop shop with a franchise name and support, but I'm not going to be in the business. Tell me how that succeeds in the community. Now, take away any extra capital they may have. Tell me how that's successful. Make it make sense. So I beg you, if you are selling semi-absentee models, to who and why? Because I have yet to see it succeed for someone that is not, again, a big investment buying group or someone that genuinely has a very high business acumen. Maybe they own more businesses and they're maybe triple capitalized. Agree or disagree? All y'all scared to raise your thing. We got to disagree. Go, Ryan, go. Ron Bender, put your card down.
Who wants to give their hot take? I saw a few back here. Anybody?
It's in that back corner to the...
Ron?
No, Ron is joking.
No, I'm not joking. I think if you're going to run a semi-absentee business, you give some equity to that manager, and that manager has to be absolutely capable of getting into the community and being that part-time mayor, that mayor. And I also think that you personally, you and Jesse, who have multiple brands, you guys can be in the community one time and be repping your multiple brands. You can leverage your relationships with those customers, your great relationships with those customers, and say, guess what? Now we're able to offer you a lot of additional services.
Well, here's the problem. I clearly understand marketing, and for every single one of our 4 brands, and this is what not a lot of people have hacked yet. I know Tony at Horsepower and Ben over there at 5-Star and Heather at Authority. Our turnover or retention rate from brand to brand, or whatever that rate you call, you would guess what? You would hope that it's 100. You would aim for maybe 20 to 30. Guess what, guys? It's less than 2%. Customers, and we do interior cleaning, exterior cleaning, custom build-outs, and what else do we do? Pest control. So it's not like a wide margin. So yes, I can do that, Ron, for 2%, and maybe it gets bigger, and maybe it's 5%. And then And then now I've got all these brands that how do I make up for that money? Because the franchisor said, oh, you got to give 100% of your time to this brand. Oh, and you can be semi-absentee. Oh, and you have a manager. I like the equity play. There because now they have money at stake. But are the business owners you're bringing in for semi-absentee ready to give a piece away? They're buying into a business that they're already going to give a piece away?
Well, I think your point is well taken that if they're coming in and they need an SBA loan and they've got to keep their day job and they've got all these, normal personal commitments that many of us do, that person can't afford to pay that manager and give equity and pay debt
Exactly.
service, on and on and on. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I also agree with you that it's bullshit that not one person in this room raised their hand and said, yes, we sell semi-absentee.
Ron and I go way back.
Anybody else want to give their hot take?
Just food for thought.
Awesome. Thank you.
Way to bring down the house. I really brought down the mood there.
Yeah, vibe kill. So now we're going to talk, Brooke is going to talk about lead list building.
Complete energy shift. Please. I feel like I need a bath and some good light up here. Okay, so I want to talk about lead list building and social media. Okay, so again, hyper-focused on local store marketing for the moment. So as a franchisee, or a franchisor, we often get the question, should we have one national social media account or multiple? It's a very common question today and evolution of social media. It depends on the type of brand you are, but you could have, for instance, one Instagram account and build your domain authority with hundreds of thousands of followers with one location on Instagram and multiple Facebook accounts. Or you could allow the franchisees to also do Instagram. If you remember, the uptake of information and the current relevancy and timing and execution that is needed to be relevant on Instagram is very high. And 90% of people that have come into franchising do not personally use the tools correctly, and then we're trying to expect them to understand how to build an audience on social media. So it is a very high ramp, done very poorly in most cases. So when thinking about building leads, especially in Discovery Day, every potential franchisee says, I think this is great, where do I get my people? And how do I target them? And where do I go? And how do I build the business? And of course, most of people will say social media or digital ads or community. The challenge is you have to capture the lead in the community and you also have to capture the lead on social media because your digital ads with a great agency, they're gonna capture the lead, which is name, phone number, text, email. You have to have a contact method for them to call it a lead or a prospect. So when you're building your lead list on Instagram and Facebook, people will say, but look, I have 1,500 people that follow me before my grand opening. That's really great. But do you have their name, their email, their phone number, and can you contact them? And the answer is no. Because when you build your list on social media, it is rented space. It is as if you are saying, I am going to allow Facebook and Instagram and TikTok to be my landlord, and at any time, they can turn the machine off, they can go down, they can go dark, they can have outages, they change their algorithm, they can ban your content, they can shadow ban you, they could change any part of their platform whatsoever, they could turn off instant messaging on it. They could do it Congress is now in the throes with TikTok. They will shut down a platform, and some brands say, but that's where I've built my business. Well, the challenge is, in my opinion, you have to also learn how to capture the lead. And there are some really cool tools. I want to recommend that ManyChat, ManyChat, is one of the most common tools we recommend for our partners, because one of our brand partners, it's called Hopin. It's a high-tech tap room. Their social media currency is on fire, and they have reels that are going viral every single day, and they're like, well, we don't need to do local marketing because we have social. But they cannot contact one of those people unless they sent a direct message. So we implemented ManyChat, of which now they can capture their lead information through direct messaging or on Facebook or on Instagram, and they have a lead list that they can then invite to their grand opening, to their friends and family, to their soft opening, to their events that they're hosting after they open. Because it is great to build brand awareness on social media, but you have to start capturing and owning the data. So my hot take is in lead list list generation, especially for local franchisees, you have to find a way in your community to capture the information. Scan this QR code. Would you like to enter to win? Great, give me your name and information. You call every single one of those people. You say, you are the winner, one person. Every other person is second place winner. And you have a reason to call back those people when you meet them in the community and you say, great, now you are second place. And because of that, you get a free X. And it is a simple thing that costs you no money as a franchisee, but you have a touch point to reach out to them and to talk to them the minute that you meet them. Great, we're at this festival, we're doing this giveaway, you're the grand winner. Great, everybody else, you don't tell them that they're all second place individually, but you call them back and you say, just for fun, we drew the second place name and you won. So can you come back into the location? We'd love to meet you, the grand opening, see you there, get their name and contact information, and get them engaged in the brand immediately. So in the community, on social media, in your ads, with referrals, you have to capture the lead list and not put your real estate sign up on rented property, in my opinion. Hot take. Agree or disagree? Lots of yellow. I like agreeable people. I'm like, I want yellows. Less red for me, please. But any hot takes in the audience? Ryan, from you in the back.
I have a question and would like, if anyone would like to add to that. How does the mini chat work? Is it just an autoresponder when people follow? I think people might want to know that.
Great question. So mini chat is actually a tool. If most of you are on Instagram, we're all young in this room. I expect you to be on Instagram. If you do not have an Instagram page today yourself, you do not know how to use it, you absolutely cannot advise a franchisee how to use it. Number one. Hot take. Number two, when you're using a tool like ManyChat, I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm an influencer that has 500,000 followers, and it's like I post a recipe, and it's like comment recipe to get this. And then you get a DM in your direct message, which is DM, just making sure you're tracking. In your message, and you get all of the information. It says, great, just send me your email and I'll kick it to you. Or, hey, are you interested in X? And then you're having a conversation with them in your direct messages. But the way you use ManyChat is you set up this tool, and it's like an algorithm that you build out, similar to email marketing, where it's an if-then scenario. If they say yes, they get this. If they then engage further, they get this. If they get this, they get this. So when you talked about like specialists versus coaches, you definitely need a digital marketing social media strategist on your team. You have to have that today. And if you don't, get with a great agency that also has relevant people. But ManyChat is a tool that you use, very similar to what influencers are doing, to capture the attention. Number one, it drives up comments, which drives up your relevancy on your content. So then the more comments and the more saves and the more shares on all of your Instagram, the more it's shown to more people. And then those people are in your direct messages and you're engaging with them and having a conversation kind of automatically. You build that out, but it's happening boom, 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 boom. And then they get the piece of information that is valuable to them. Because it's not just about capturing the lead, it is about adding value to their life. Is it a recipe? Is it a tip? Is it 5 ways to clean your windows? Comment windows and I'll give it to you in your inbox, whatever that is, and you're giving them value and they're giving you their information. So it is a tool, again, it's not the, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being very complex, it's probably a 7. It's not super, super easy, so you do want somebody that may have experience in it, but it is a tool that everybody could use and implement today in social media to capture a lead.
Thanks, Ryan. And do you want to just say how to spell one more time?
Oh, many, like many of us, M-A-N-Y, and then chat, C-H-A-T. I wish I had a code. I want credit for 200 people. Hot take.
You should drop them a DM, let them know.
And then we have Heather, who's actually going to give her hot take on AI.
I think this will be a fun hot take, though. It won't be a scary hot take. We do want to keep it happy up in here. So I love all of the AI tools that have come out. There's a billion of them. If any of you guys follow me on LinkedIn, my LinkedIn headshot is actually an AI-generated headshot because I think a lot of times we all hate our headshots. Hot take. So I play around with a lot of it, and some of you have probably heard from either your board or your private equity sponsors. Private equity loves AI, the idea of AI, how efficient it could make us, et cetera, et cetera. My hot take is that today, in a lot of ways, AI is still like an intern. It's good at doing a lot of things kind of in the background, but specifically in the area of voice, and I'm going to give Ben like a little side eye because I think if someone's going to disagree with me, it might be the 5-star team. But I think that just like if we think back to old video games, right? Like the quality of those graphics have gotten better and better and better, but you still look at it and know you're not looking at an actual human, right? Like you as a person can still pick up the nuanced differences that make it not real. And I still think that in the area of voice specifically, so when we're talking about like call center agent tech and things like that, I still think that there's a long way to go there, and that in the shorter term, as more companies start adopting some of this AI in voice specifically, that we're going to see kind of a swing of the pendulum back to an overemphasis of actual, real, high-quality customer service coming from a real person versus coming from a chatbot or a widget or an AI automated agent. So that's definitely a hot take, but I'm okay with differing opinions because I think the truth is still to be told there. So jury's out on what will really happen. Maybe it'll advance quicker, faster than any of us thought, but I think we're going to see like a kind of a reversal as people really double down on AI. I think you're going to see some companies really double down on high quality people in some of those areas, and I think you'll be able to tell the difference. Agree or disagree? Yeah, I think it's okay. I mean, jury's out, right? It could go either way. I think right now, though, we're still have a little way to go.
Does anyone want to add their own little quick hot take? Anyone want to? All right. Okay, we got one. The AI guy.
All right, so I'm the head of technology and AI for 5-Star Franchising.
As soon as I said it, I was like, I know that I'm going to piss off that, but that's
Right.
okay. That's the whole point, is
And-
to have a conversation.
Yeah, and we sat down with Empower Brands yesterday to talk about the excitement of voice AI and where it's at today. My take is the consumer is asking for it, and they are lenient on where the technology is because, yeah, you're right, we're on the early days of it. If I'm calling to book an appointment, I probably would have liked to book the appointment online or wanted to avoid the customer interaction altogether. And I think what we're going to see is that's what the consumer kind of expects. So when they're calling to talk to an agent, they're really just calling to get something done, and they're happy with the outcome that comes. And if we can provide an experience that is similar to what it is currently today, although the technology might be closely, like we might be a few months away from a perfect technology for voice. But where we're at today, I think we're on the front wave of implement it, and I think we're going to see a lot of consumers loving that we're on the forefront of AI. So.
And are you talking about consumers, like what is your demographic there? Because one of our concepts is the sexiest thing outside of Bio 1, which is grout, obviously. And like the consumer base there, they're like, do not show me a website. Like I want to call a number. So are we talking like the consumer base that's like young conference down or maybe a little bit up, but not all the way? I'm asking. I'm not, don't disagree with me, Red. I'm asking.
No, I think just general, yes. I mean, we're getting into age, right? Like the older consumer and how they've adopted technology in general is going to be similar with how they adopt AI, because AI is technology. So we're going to see that pushback where they're going to say, hey, I'm grumpy. I want to talk to a real human. I don't want to talk to someone that's an AI. But I think they're fully aware and want that experience. They just want it better. And we just need to continue to provide that rather than shy away from it. I think if we shy away from that, we're going to find ourselves far behind in the AI adoption realm.
I have a quick question. So for those of you doing LinkedIn content with AI and using ChatGPT to write content or captions, are you able to spot it when you see it? Do you agree?
Put your arm up in yellow.
And do you think that agree would be adds value to a brand, and disagree would be kind of leaves you with a bad taste in your mouth? Most read. I would tell you, when it comes to franchise development marketing on LinkedIn, everyone knows what you're doing when you use ChatGPT, and it makes you look bad.
Yeah, I think
In my opinion.
I think the other thing to add too on the AI thing, right? I think there's a difference between what's publicly facing and what's internal.
Yeah.
So there's no doubt that there's amazing tools that you can use to coach agents to better understand what's happening on a call, to quickly identify a call where something went wrong, et cetera, et cetera. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. I think what we'll find, though, that especially in certain industries, when a conversation is a sensitive one of our brands is in-home senior care. Can you imagine making that phone call and having a weird experience with a tech in any way? It's tough, right? So it is possible that it'll get there. I still think there's amazing uses for AI. I just think we should be smart about what we do with it and not get on the bandwagon of it's going to cure everything. It's going to eliminate all these call center agents. It's going to get rid of this team. It's going to cut out this team. I think it's a tool to put in the hands of strong people to help them be more efficient, to maybe make us better at adjusting and changing more quickly to trends, because tech is really great at spotting trends and data that maybe take us a little bit longer to see. But it's a hot take for a reason. So.
I will say, Heather, I agree with you, and this is weird hearing myself through the speaker, but I agree with you. There's going to be a middle ground. Me and Derek debate, and he leans his way because he is the tech guy, and I'm more the customer experience guy. I think we are going to settle somewhere in the middle where you have different teams that meet the customer where they want to be met. Different types of customers want to interact differently, and so you need to be able to enable that interaction. The thing that I think you may underestimate is how quickly we're going to get there. If you saw the OpenAI released a video yesterday, right? The two AIs talking to one another. Yeah, it's now granted you look at what one of them was describing. Oh, I see ambient lighting, and it was just kind of basic, but it's going so fast that I think there is going to be real value, at least with chat and text, that may already be there. But with voice, I mean, by the end of this year, you could have a really compelling voice option for, a very down the middle of the fairway type call with appointment setting, for example, something that's pretty basic. But I think your take is spot on. It's a balanced approach.
Well, when you've got it ready to go, we are a customer in one of our brands, so we'll pilot it for you.
Guys, a great entry point we've seen with a lot of our clients to start utilizing AI is in that high priority, which is FranDev. And what's the most important part of FranDev? The first step, speed to lead. And it is atrocious in the industry. As we know, half the leads don't even get contacted. And you want to hit them when they're hottest, which is when they filled out the form online or requested information. Well, we've literally had Zors lay off people or change their jobs because of AI, either through Franchisely or Lumen AI, where the lead comes in and a text goes out. We're not talking true voice, but text voice goes out to that lead. And it literally says in the text, I am an AI assistant. And it asks intuitive questions back and forth on that text chain, gets the candidates much more involved, much more quickly, more deals because of it. And the interesting point, the candidates later in the process, when talking to a FranDev rep, will say, your guy that texted me. They will totally forget it was AI, even though they were told I'm an AI assistant or chatbot in the initial thread. It's so intuitive and smooth, they completely forget it wasn't a real person. And more deals are happening because of it, and money's being saved, and processes are being sped up. So pretty sweet on the entry level to AI.
Well, and I think it's a good a place to start if you're really nervous about it. Start with the leads that are annoying. Start with the lead portal leads. Start with the lead aggregator, Angie, Thumbtack. You all know we have to chase those down 6, 7, 8, 9 times before they pick up the phone. Well, if your franchisees aren't doing it and your call center is not set up to be an outbound call center in that way, that's a great place to start.
I'd say on the AI front, it's that really we need to look at it like it's a tool. I'm not a techie by any stretch of the imagination, but it's kind of like a saw. You could either build a great basketball court or lose a hand. It's how you use it. And to use the intern comparison, it's if you ask an intern to get you coffee constantly and then do a report, they're gonna have no idea how to do a report. But with AI, it's about how you prompt it. And so like you'll spot really bad LinkedIn posts because they did a very general prompt versus how you go and iterate on that and how you're doing these prompts and what you're asking it to do. Frankly, most people don't know how to prompt, including myself. But the ones who are, getting paid $500,000 a year at Meta and all these companies, they just know how to ask the right questions and put the right parameters in. So, it's a tool that will be evolved now or soon, but it's really about our ability to go and learn how to use the tool. So I think you're right, but I also think you're wrong.
I agree with you in terms of the tool. My tip would be that you need to train it what your values are, what your voice is, what your expectations are, who your customer is, who you're speaking to. Is it a male or a female? What do they like? What do they not like? It always goes back to your target audience. So you can use the tool to shortcut copywriting and get it done faster, but when you don't use prompts and you don't have values established in your brand, and then you're not training AI what those values are, it sounds like a robot. And then you can spot very easily, everybody uses the emojis. There's capitalizations and hashtags, which human beings don't use. There are very easy spots that customers are getting very familiar with, whether it's a FranDev candidate or a local customer. So you have to also train the tool, to your point, but you also have to establish who your audience is and what is relevant in your brand and what your values are and what your voice and your narrative is. And that takes great copywriting. So yes, prompts, but also do the work on the brand side too.
And I think with all of these topics that we covered, and especially the AI, I want everyone to go back to their why. Why are we trying to implement this? Is it because everyone else is doing it? Is it because we want to close more deals? Is it because we want to save time? Is it because we can't afford a full-time person and we need more help? Because I guarantee you, just like there's no get-rich-quick scheme, there's no one tool is going to fix it, right? So to Brooke's point, there's a lot of different aspects at play. AI is not a Band-Aid. Semi-absentee is not a Band-Aid. Money for grand opening is not a Band-Aid. So get to your why and then peel apart the different pieces of the pain point. And then you can say, well, AI can solve for this, or it can't solve for that. So I think just remembering to ask, why are we doing this in the first place? What does it solve? What do we want it to solve? Make sure those expectations align with what you're using to ideally solve it.
And that's a big reason why we wanted to do a different format, because opening the dialogue in this setting, also opening it up with your teams, it just creates a good discussion point, because you should have varying opinions and be able to actually come to a resolution. And so our next question that I'm going to ask Heather first is, what keeps you up at night?
So many things, really. No, I think kind of in line with the conversation from earlier that what Scott was talking about. I think right now, so we've got 16 brands, all in various life cycles, some more mature from a tech perspective than others. The thing that keeps me up at night right now is just the funnel, where we're missing, whether it's, to the point earlier, phones not being answered, leads not being followed up on, and there's a lot of automation around trying to help and support and streamline that. But if you can imagine getting and building all these brands kind of on a platform all within about 3.5 years, there's just a lot to do. Not every brand had everything exactly the way we would have set it up. So most of the time, my anxiety in the middle of the night is, man, we could be doing so much more revenue if we could just capture and maximize every single one of those leads across every single one of our brands.
Same to you, Brooke.
So I have two parts of my answer. Number one, we've worked with anywhere from 12 to 15 brands in the last 3 years. And every single person in this room, and brands from 1,000 units to brands with 2 units, all have the same problems. And so number one, like knowing that you're not alone and what keeps you up at night is likely what keeps everybody else in this room up at night is the same. There's a little piece in that of knowing like that's just part of the game of franchising, because we've seen that everybody still needs great franchise development marketing, great grand opening marketing, great local store marketing, great consumer marketing. But the number one thing that keeps me up as a business owner and supporting our brands is relevancy. And knowing how do we stay ahead of the game, how to be culturally relevant, how to understand what our customers want, how to be doing the things on the channels we're also advising on, and walking the walk and talking the talk, because that, in essence, is what every franchisor needs to do. And to speak with certainty, because when franchisees ask you what they should do, having somebody in marketing who is tough, that can take the arrows and also speak with certainty, inspires them to take change and then to take action. And so everybody has the same problems, especially in franchising. That's why the industry is so brilliant. But staying relevant and having people on your team that are younger than you and smarter than you and tell you what the trends are is so important to also keep you relevant and then to train your franchisees on how to be relevant to the customer.
Maddie?
Nothing keeps me up at night because Ambien. No, just kidding. Two things keep me up at night. One is the weaning focus on, I don't think I use that word right, but on franchisee validation. It's so important, and I see franchisors not scared of losing it anymore. I see PE firms not really worried about it. And that means that if you're not listening, your franchisees aren't being heard, and they're suffering. And what I always say is I will never advise, sell, consult on something that risks putting food on the table for their kids, because franchising puts food on the table for mine. And validations are what keeps food on the table. And the second part of that is this Fran Dev nightmare that we are in right now, and what I call the broker bubble, or red consultant bubble. I try to get it right. And I think that costs are extremely high. People think that to be a good franchisor, you have to sell a ton of units really fast, and that's how you're making money. And it's not the truth. You can sell 3 or 4 and be great. If you can functionally afford to do 40 to 50, congratulations. But let's keep it realistic, because if we're just selling to sell, then the validations aren't going to be there. Kids are going to not have food on the table. And then in turn, eventually, it's going to trickle up. And then the whole industry is going to suffer. And my entire life is franchising, and I know a lot of you are all children of franchising, and your kids are going to be in franchising. And if we don't address that problem, there's going to be nothing left for them. And I tell my kids, I got 3 of them, we've got 4 brands, and I say, listen, when we write the will, whoever we like the most gets the best brand. So y'all better be good. So I just want to make sure that when we leave franchising, it's better off than when we came into it, and that doesn't necessarily mean unit size. Ideally, it's bigger, but again, why? Bigger for what? Let's make sure it's bigger for everyone.
And I'll give my what keeps me up at night. So being on the supplier side is brands bringing their entire marketing agencies in-house. Being honest, I just think that there's, as we kind of all said here, like, you have
VP of sales.
I am. No, this is what keeps me up at night. No, mainly because I think that there's value to be added when you are strategic and you have a lot of insights from other brands. And that's all suppliers here, that's all we do. We work with every single one of us. We work with so many different brands, and being able to give value to you is what puts food on our tables. And so I just think there is a lot of value in terms of just being able to have an outside perspective. How are you doing on time? Perfect. Amazing.
No more time.
No more time. So I hope you liked the format, and let us know, and engage with this in your teams. So thank you guys.
All right, thank you very much, Gabriella. Okay, so next up to the stage, and while they are taking a picture, I'm going to stand over here, so I am actually in the frame. We are, I'm going to stand over here so I don't have light in my face. We're going to be having Catherine LeBlanc and the crew coming up for our next panel. That's going to be starting at